Thank you so much, Pawan, for joining in to our first Leaders Fireside Chat. I'm Avinash. I'm one of the founders of Global Talent Exchange. Joining me is Samira, who leads our content strategy at Global Talent Exchange. As you're aware, we are a platform, global platform, recruiting platform, enabling companies across the globe to look at talent from global tech hubs. Our special guest today, Mr. Pawan Bhageria, he is the president of Global HR, Education and Strategy Projects at Tata Technologies. He is a business transformation leader and a thought leader in the automotive industry, known for his expertise in digital and Industry 4.0. He brings a wealth of experience as a speaker at institutions such as NASSCOM and CII, as well as serving as a board member and strategic advisor. In conversation with him, we'll be dwelling into the challenges and uncertainties facing the industry today, and hear Pawan's expert insights on how to navigate them. We're also keen on understanding how he drives progress and innovation within Tata Technologies. Pawan, is there anything else that you'd want to add here in terms of your background?
No, I think you have been too generous, Avinash. Thank you, and I think that's relevant topics. So thank you.
Awesome, lovely having you. Pawan, just to begin with, as per a KPMG report, which said, be it business ecosystem or supply chain or issues pertaining to talent, and the magnitude of these challenges has altered dramatically with matters aligning to business leaders, right? I mean, CEOs in India who've been surveyed appear confident in their organizational resilience. They also seem to have prepared themselves to make the most of the current environment. So can you tell us a little bit about what's happening at your end, from this perspective, Pawan?
Sure. So, there are a lot of disruptions taking place as far as technology is concerned, and I think automotive industry is one of the most impacted one by these disruptions, given we have got S's, that is autonomous vehicle, electrification, shared, and connected. So I think because of this, what's happening, and that is one part. The second part is that given that we are all looking at sustainability and mobility of people and the goods continues to be a priority to drive economy as well as convenience for people. So automotive industry is going to stay on forefront. There is a fast adoption of electrification going on. There are other technologies like hydrogen fuel cell and many others who are in the works right now. And given that, I think as far as our industry is concerned, I see a significant amount of engineering and digital work getting generated in these areas, because everybody has to refresh their product portfolio, and to do that there is huge amount of work which will be required, not only in India, which is a hub for engineering centers for a lot of companies and company like ours who serve the globe so well, but also globally, because countries are taking decisions that by 2025 we will be 100% electric only, or somebody is saying by 2030. So this is something which is not going to reverse, and if this trend has to go forward, it is going to require a lot of talent, and because of that, I do see that from our industry perspective, things are looking positive, and we will have to continue to be working on it. In fact, I'll go to the extent of saying that there are certain areas like embedded, software-defined vehicles are coming, and there's a lot of digital. There's not enough talent in the market. We are fishing in the same pond where the talent crunch is there. So we do see huge amount of requirement, and that will mean we have to build the talent in these areas where there is dearth. At the same time, people who already have these skills are going to have a great time as far as we see it.
Awesome. That's music to ears, Pawan, especially in these trying times where we're only hearing about layoffs from global conglomerates, and a lot of startups in India who kind of laid off people. Yes, I mean, awesome to hear that companies like yourselves are continuing to grow and looking for niche talent. Pawan, just wanted to understand a little bit in terms of your experience of you've been in the industry for close to 3 decades now, and if you could just tell us a little bit about how you dealt with these situations in the past. There have been recessions in the past, and how is this one different from the past recessions? Because we've just come out of the pandemic, the hiring has gone to above the roof, and then suddenly there's a slump. Can you tell us a little bit about your experience here?
So I think at upfront I'll say, Avinash, that people laying off and all that, these are the most painful decisions which any company, corporate or management takes. So these are not something which is pleasant decisions, and they are taken after all due consideration of how can we avoid them and how can we minimize them. So that's the bottom line, which I think every corporate, because everybody is concerned about their people. Now, when it comes to layoffs, so I would like to give it a different spin altogether. See, one of the great thing about these news channels and everybody is pick up the negative news and make the whole environment negative. That's something which is there. Yes, the fact is that there are certain layoffs being announced. There is slight slowdown in certain areas. But if you look at manufacturing per se in India, manufacturing is growing. Automotive requirements, if you see, car requirements, if you see, we are growing quarter on quarter. If you see all the companies who manufacture car, manufacturing index is improving if you look at the economic parameters. And so that is one part. The second part I talked about is engineering demand is also going to be strong. And there is a lot of infrastructure projects which are being taken up by the government. I think there is targets of how much kilometers of roads are going to be done. Smart cities are coming, which are both technology as well as all levels of work. And so given that, I think we need to take a more holistic view of what the situation is. And I feel overall situation is not as negative as it's being made out to be. Yes, there will be pockets of a situation where there will be certain hardships which will come. But given the way market is developing, I think the talent which gets out of a particular organization will have place in other organizations also, given the kind of skills they would have acquired. If you talk of say Google and all, I think they take top-notch talent, and when they come out, there will be opportunities for them. So for me, that is one part which is for the current thing. In the past also, situations have come, and I think there has been deep sensitivity in taking any decisions which have been there. But this time the cycle, one of the interesting things is cycle. In 2020, there were almost very, very low attritions when the pandemic hit and all that. And then 21, there was some amount of work which was happening. But in 22, we saw never before kind of talent crunch, and the way talent cost went up. And the way we went after talent, we had ourselves about 25% attrition in our company, and to keep all the customer commitments, it was a challenge. And then suddenly, it's the story of a few layoffs and everything is negative. I don't think the situation had changed on the ground that much. Even today, we are looking to from 9,300, Tata Technology will be more close to 12,000 by end of this financial year. Next year also, we are looking to add another 2,000-3,000 people, net of attrition and all. So I am sure that there will be those kind of things. Barring few pockets, I am right now not seeing a big downturn coming. That's how I put it.
That's very nice to hear, Pawan. So we spoke a little bit about the, resilience that the, Indian companies have. Is this resilience, more to do with the environment that is kind of set up here? How is the Indian, psyche here, Pawan? I'd like to know from your experience here.
See, my take on resilience, because India, I think, showed as a country great resilience during the pandemic. The corporate showed great resilience, and so are the corporate leaders. I feel it has more to do with the way we grow up, the environment in which we grow up. I think most of us grow up with a lot of constraints, and we continue to always find out what next, how to solve this problem and go. So the resilience, I think, is built in our growth journey as people. And because of that, what you see, it comes out very clearly. Because I don't think if you take a class on resilience for 2 hours or a 2 days course and people will become resilient, that's not going to happen. It has to do with how your ability to take challenges, your ability to solve problems, and your ability to look out of box. That's what brings the resilience, and never give up attitude. So I think these things are pretty much strong in our overall bringing up and cultural ethos also. So I think it has to do with that. That is how I see it.
Fantastic. I think you're saying that, it's an innate property of, being growing up in this culture, and, the Indian society is, so bound to that, the jugaad, and then, the aspect of, winning over anything. I think that's a great, point here, Pawan. So, how are you seeing this, pan out within the HR fraternity? What would you what changes do you see that the HR fraternity will have to make, and what will your message be to the HR fraternity?
See, as I said, that post pandemic, the talent landscape has changed significantly, and so the old ways of managing talent will have to be relooked, and HRs will have to really transform the way talent is looked at, the way the engagement is managed, the way employees are taken care of, and I think there are many areas which are there in HR, but I think so from recruiting. Because of the talent situation and the talent crunch which is there, especially in niche area, from recruiting to managing the talent inside the organization, starting from onboarding to their day-to-day challenges, and also ensuring that they get right level of growth, they have a work-life balance, because post-pandemic there is a change in the psyche of people. In many ways it comes out, because so we will have to take note of all these things. And in parallel, what is happening is that this industrial 4 revolution is coming, and that also is going to put talent on premium. And so what I see is that HR will have to understand first how the businesses are changing, how the talent requirement is changing. So HR will have to build a very strong bonding with business, and then work out strategies in the changed landscape of talent management. So I think there will be a transformation required in the way we look at HR.
Awesome. Thanks for that insight, Pawan. So a couple of quarters back, about a year back or so, it was completely a candidates market. Today the scenario is kind of changing a little bit, I think, and there's some sense of fear that is kind of setting in into the candidate's mindset. And that's what we see while we interview candidates. I mean, he's not shopping for, with multiple companies and stuff like that. What would your message be to, these people, Pawan?
Yeah, this was my message to people when they were leaving also, because we care about our employees and we don't want them to go. See, especially I'll talk about the service industry like ours. If there is a project somewhere and you need to staff it, then the organization will pay anything, provide you, agree to your terms in any way to somehow get you there to ensure that the client project is delivered. And so what I will only advise the candidates to look at is the organization, the management, the HR policies, and the longevity, that it is more of a career. Because if you just go for that shiny object of a multiple of salaries, then there are a lot of things which you don't know, and when the downtime comes or the difficult situations come, that time things don't support. And so one of the most important thing I think for candidates to really look at is which organization they are joining, what are their track records, and do I have a long-term career? Because too much of change also marks them as people who are hoppers, and a good organization don't feel that we should have those candidates also. And at the same time, I think we should be reasonable about our asks from a salary perspective, because at the end of the day, if business cannot support those kind of salaries, then those highest salary levels will be the first one to be looked at. How should we deal with it? Right? So I think organization, long-term organization culture, and a long-term view from candidate from a career perspective is something which should be a consideration before making a switch or joining a new organization.
Fantastic, Pawan. This is really interesting because mostly, at least the millennials, the Gen Ys and the Gen Zs really don't care so much about where they're working. It's more about what is it that they're working on, and what is the impact they can make. But I think time is changing, and it's interesting to see that the mindset will have to change for individuals looking at organizations. Fantastic.
Yeah. So Avinash, maybe I can add one more thing. Let's see, we are looking at that in next 5 years. Today, I think about 70 lakh gig workers are there. And in next 5 years, we are expecting that the gig worker number will go up to 2.3 crores. Right? So there is a big change happening. So those who want to be, project hoppers in terms of what I work on, then potentially that population might go more towards gig workers. But those who look for long-term career, they will have to look at long-term. You cannot have a project mindset and look for a long career, because in an organization's life or journey, there will be ups and downs, and unless you are with them during ups and downs, the career, long-term career doesn't get built. So it's a person's choice. I think the market will provide both.
Oh, absolutely. Let's dwell a little bit more deeper with into Tata Technologies as such, Pawan. So how do you see, while you did mention about the EV, the embedded, semicon, a whole lot of things where it's really buoyant, and you kind of see continued demand in those areas. For the next 5 years, or even for that matter, I mean, everyone is talking about the Amrit Kaal and stuff, and I'm sure Tata has a massive plan in terms of really making it happen during this Amrit Kaal, right? So how do you see this panning, in the next 5 years and the next till the 2047, the Amrit Kaal?
To
I'm
be
sure.
fair to myself, I think these days we make plans for 3 years and keep understanding the environment and then make plans for another 3 years, because it will be unfair for me that I know what happens in 47. In fact, today I was going through the presentation which I think happened from India side in Davos, and what it tells makes you feel very, very proud in terms of the vision and where India will be in next 25 years. So that is definitely there. From my perspective, I think it'll be fair for me to talk about next 3 years, and I would say that the trend is not going to change. As I said that the electrification is coming. Electrification coming doesn't mean only work on car. You will have charging stations, you will have huge lot of infrastructure which is going to come if this trend has to sustain, right? So that's only automotive. The same set of technologies are going in heavy machinery, they are going in aerospace in different forms. So I think from my perspective, for the people who are coming from technology side, it is going to be a great period. And to add to it, the AI ML side of the world, which is now applicable to anything, whether you talk about medicine, whether you talk about medical equipment, whether you talk about any equipments used by people or factories, the humongous amount of data which will be generated and the insights which will be coming in, that will also create huge amount of talent requirement also, right? So from my perspective, I see lot of disruptions which are going to come in going forward, and to support them from a technology perspective, it is one of the best period as far as people are concerned, because those who know their stuff, they will be in high demand, and their requirement will be everywhere, because many of the technologies are interchangeable, especially like Industry 4, industrial IoT, and the shared, which can be applied anywhere. So there is going to be very interesting time in my mind, and I see a huge amount of growth going forward.
Glad to be in this era of time where we kind of see changes actually happening, right? So Pawan, I want to ask you a very specific question on how the talent is skewed towards the developed countries, right? I mean, we spoke about the opportunity here, right in India. Likewise, there is opportunity in the developed countries as well. There's a lot happening there as well. While the current situation may look, gloomy, but that's not going to be, a permanent thing to stay. But however, we see that talent is skewed towards the developed countries, right? So there are a lot of developing countries, and country like ourselves, if you look at the global talent competitive index, we rank way below. So as a country and as conglomerates in the country, what is it that you suggest that we do to attract that talent, or equally skewed talent? I mean, how can we kind of distribute talent across the globe? Are they? I'm sure this is a very broader this thing, but are there some certain pointers that you may want to kind of touch upon, Pawan?
Yeah, so I think see, you are right that the developed economies like US, UK, and many others, they attract best of best because of the opportunities available. I don't think even today a lot of people are coming back and looking for opportunities in India. And many of the people who want to go are also looking to stay back because the opportunities are coming. Our startup ecosystem is getting stronger. We are almost number 2 when it comes to startups. So I would think that maybe 10 years back it was more true. But if we look at it today, it's slightly different. The other thing which also should be noted in my mind is that earlier the Indian salaries were way lower, and so when you used to do the expenses in developed economy versus the savings, etc., still the developed economy provided both great savings and great opportunities. But now with the Indian salaries also improving, especially for niche talent, I think there is a lot of room to rethink whether going to Western countries or staying here makes more sense. And so we are seeing some level of balance developing, I would say.
Fantastic.
Like, I think the trend has always been that talent has shifted towards the places with the most opportunities, what appears to be like the most opportunities. And now with India coming up as a superpower, so the trend is shifting. It's now coming back.
Exactly. That's what I'm trying to say.
The other area. Yeah. India, Singapore.
Yeah, that's correct.
So, Samira, do you want to add anything there?
No, definitely. I mean, like Mr. Pawan said, that India is really coming up, and as he really mentioned, that people need to now think whether it makes sense to be going abroad or continuing to work here. So I just want to know more about Tata Technologies and what their approach to meeting this requirement. Like he's talked about the talent shortages and all. So how is Tata Technologies aiming to meet this growing demand? And I'm sure other companies would be, open to hearing these suggestions as well.
No, I think, Samira, that's a great question. And I think, so as I said, that there are not enough people in niche areas available. And so as industry, if we continue to just look for ready talent, we won't get it. And so there is a responsibility of industry also to start investing in developing talent. And so Tata Technology has taken a very, I will say, credible step. We started what we call it our Techversity. And this Techversity not only trains the graduate engineers and PGs who come fresh from college with a 3-month program before they get into our normal work stream, but we have a big plan to reskill and upskill our existing manpower, and we are trying to see what are the adjacencies in the various skill areas, who can be trained for what, and then our Techversity is going to train people to meet the requirement. Now, there is another interesting thing which is plus with Tata Technologies. So, like we are a end-to-end vehicle design validation kind of a company which does complete end-to-end work. And because of that, we have got significant talent in even body engineering and others, while we are building our talent pool in the embedded and electronics and software area. But what we are seeing is that our people who are well trained in the body engineering side and chassis side and these areas, if they are given exposure to the embedded engineering, etc., then we will have a far more rounded talent pool who understands the vehicle fully and also understands the various interfaces with various technologies and can work across. Now that will be a very powerful kind of a combination. So I think in short, what I like to say is that industry will have to invest to create more and more capable people, to train them to the industry requirements in the niche areas. Tata Technology is doing its bit, and we continue to invest in areas to develop talent so that we are doing our part in the industry to put talent in the system, because we know we can't retain 100% of people. but they are going in the industry and supporting the overall industry. And the same, so we will continue to train, and if we look at even 60-70% of our people we are able to retain, then I think we will be fairly balanced as far as our investment and effort to add talent and also use talent in the industry. I don't know whether that answers your question.
Absolutely. I think it's really impressive how Tata Technologies takes care of their talent across the spectrum. Like you mentioned, techversity for people who might be slightly underskilled and to build them up. And also you mentioned a leader bridge program, which trains the top level for leadership positions ahead. So I think a key takeaway for other organizations is that if you invest in your talent, if you put in a lot in your talent, I think a lot of these crises, these situations can be avoided to a large extent.
Yeah,
do you agree?
For sure. Yeah.
So you're suggesting build versus buy. So what percentage could that be, Pawan, in the given scenario? And do you see that of course it will be fluctuating, but given the scenario, you're saying build versus buy?
I think I think it will not be fair to answer a percentage, but for building talent, you need to create infrastructure. You need to make investments. Some companies will be ahead. Some companies will play catch up. But so long there is a thought that we need to contribute to the industry in this talent crunch time and create and add more and more talent to the industry, I think we will be part of the solution. And until the time we have something credible, you have to continue to buy. But over time, I think it will become a very, very balanced thing, because there is another aspect. We can go for buying 100% of the talent, but buying talent is also multiple time expensive. And then retention also is a challenge. So investing in your own people and building them up for future so that they can see their future in the organization, I think is going to be the best bet for long term.
Fantastic. In fact, it's great to listen to those expert information advice that you suggested, Pawan, and you especially as an individual are always bullish, and I think that's a great thing, and I think that's how organizations mindset and the sentiment also kind of changes, and there's a rub on, and we certainly want to kind of don't want to see that negative mindset, kind of going in and disturbing the harmony here. We want more and more people like you to kind of spread that positive impact that organizations can make, people can make, and I think that's kind of going to multiply and go forward. Lovely listening into you, Pawan, and your experiences. We hope to continue to talk to you on more related subjects like this. And thank you again for.
Thank you, Avinash. Thank you, Sangeeta. It has been great interacting. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
All the best.